Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Two Up and Two Down. Today we are doing a Season 8 classic, the Andrea, Doria. And Chris, we're going to start with you. What's your first up?
Two up and two down for you new listeners out there. We got to give two positives and two negatives. So here we go. Season 8, Spike Feresten. You know, a favorite for a lot of people. So let's find some ups here. For me, I always loved it. It's Jerry becoming the mailman. Obviously, Newman gets the news that he has to deliver X amount of mail in a couple of days, and he leans on his nemesis, Jerry, and Jerry puts on the old Newman uniform and the whistling through the streets and, mail on Sunday. Gets me every time. So Jerry dressed up as a mailman, my first up.
All right, good one there. Jerry being a mailman, awesome. So Tony, we're going over to you. What's your first up?
Wow, he's starting off with that, huh? All right. Well, I'm glad he said that because I really only have one solid up in this episode. It's Spike Feresten, Season 8. It's ups were hard. Put it that way. So I did have one, and actually it might tie into it down in my grade when we get there. But for now, my up on the Andrea Doria is George telling his story, his tale of all his, things that went wrong throughout his life between the shrinkage and the getting robbed, handcuffed to the post, and the rye bread and everything else. Finishes it up with the Susan dying line. I'll throw it in now. I will say though, it's an up, but leaving out getting caught by his mom for the contest is just ridiculous. How do you not add that into this story and have the getting caught by his mom? I don't know how they left that one out of this story. It's really odd to me. Other than that, though, it's still going to be an up. I like when he's leaning back on in his chair and knocking the wall, wearing the nod to the blue Nikes. O'Hara's shaking his head. I love it. I was shaking my head during the Jerry mailman. So we'll probably end up in the same place when it comes down to it. But that's my up. George telling his tale.
All right, yeah, that's a good one. I love that scene where George is telling the condo board all his terrible misgivings, the outstanding tales of Costanza, as you will. So, Chris, back to you. What's your second up?
Yeah, Tony's been historically tough on Jerry, tapping the stuff, doing that, and he sometimes likes bad Costanza, but hey, be that as it may. You know what? You're going to call it crazy. I have a bunch of ups. Not a bunch, but a decent amount of ups. But I gotta, what? Newman had a solid episode. From the no transfer to Hawaii to don't bend, like he brought it. And obviously storing the mail in the storage thing was just a little ridiculous. But Season 8, we needed a little Newman, and I think Newman did a really solid job here. Obviously the handshake and stuff with Jerry. It wasn't too over the top, so they kept him in check. And again, the do not bend line, him laughing, a little chuckle there. So another up for Newman.
All right, thank you for that one. Newman getting an up. Tony, back to you. You said you only had one up, so what's your second one?
This guy's going soft on me over here, huh? He's changing his tune fast. Loving a Newman heavy episode here in Season 8, huh? Usually he bashes the bringing people back type thing, forcing it. All right. Newman did give a few chuckles, maybe overplayed his hand a bit, but I'll give that up and up. It's fair. I mean, if you're going to give it up, Newman is definitely going to be one of them. My second up, and we do this a lot with Season 8 and Season 9 when we're trying to find ups. There were a lot of good one-liners in this episode. The one I'm pointing out off the top is Jerry. You're not going near this hooligan anymore. When he finds out about the stabbing, when Elaine first tells him about the boyfriend. I love that Jerry line. But really, my favorite line, and a line I use very often, is Kramer. I'd take a vet over an MD any day. They got to be able to cure a lizard, a chicken, a pig, a frog, all in the same day. Another great line. Tons of one-liners in here. Ahoy, Mr. Eldred. We all friend of the show, Fiore, one of his favorite lines. Whatever it takes for as long as it takes me, wherever it takes me, as long as it takes you away from me. All right. That's a lot of ups, but the main thing here is a lot of good one-liners. That's my overall up there. Flew right into your head. Never seen that before. A bird into a woman's head. The old man in the park. Tons of good one-liners. As you know, that doesn't usually lead to a good grade, which we'll get to, but that is my second up. A lot of good one-liners in this episode.
Yeah, and definitely your point to Kramer where he says he'll choose a vet over a doctor any day. Love that line. I had that as an up as well. So, yeah, that brings us to the downs. Chris, what's your first down?
Well, as we know, it's a nice segue. A lot of these ups can go into downs, and you know what? I'll just jump right on it. Kramer, same cough as a dog. Going to the vet? Really? I mean, and then how did Kramer even get Smuckers? Just from that guy on the street? And then him acting like a dog, and Jerry with the pills down his mouth, and Kramer, and running around the city. You know, listen, soft, I'm not going on this. This is Kramer, what are you doing? I mean, it's beyond cartoonish. Maybe if they made that a cartoon, Kramer the dog. Yeah, listen, it's turned into Scooby-Doo. So for crying out loud, Kramer the dog stuff down.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't mind Kramer going to the vet, instead of a doctor. That's quirky Kramer, but yeah, turn it into a dog. That was too much. So agree with that one. Tony, what do you have for your first down?
Yeah, I mean that's a big one. Obviously, that was my highlighted, bolded, underlined. Howard hit every nail on the head there. Terrible Kramer. Talking about cartoonish, he just summed it up perfectly. I mean, that was my big down. My next down is actually, I think this is a Chris O'Hara special. Forcing Estelle and Frank into the scene with George when he's trying to find out what's wrong with his childhood. I kind of see what where Howard's going with these. He likes to bring these up in these 8-9 episodes where they, they'll bring the parents in just to spice it up. Bringing Newman in, great. Newman punched up this episode, big part of it. But the Estelle and Frank yelling, if you even want to do that, make it a phone call, as O'Hara's mentioned in the past, but kind of silly there. I mean, obviously we love Frank and Estelle, but even they couldn't really save this. It's very forced, and that's my down.
No, yeah, that's a good point with the Costanzas there. So, Chris, back to you. What's your second down?
Yeah, I thought you'd actually have those Frank and Estelle's and up, as you a big fan there. But, I mean, a very obvious down is Elaine, the stab-worthy, enough already. Sponge-worthy, stab-worthy, enough. With these ridiculous catchphrases in season 8, did the writers just think, hey, we have to have something that people are going to talk about at the water cooler tomorrow? I mean, was it that important? And you met the blind dates, they don't call it a blind date anymore. I mean, just a big head. It's just, how much are we going to throw at this Elaine blind date before it just ran its course? And boy, did it run its course. So for me, stab-worthy, that whole theme. The boy, I didn't even like that boyfriend, really. He's welcome on the show, of course, but not my cup of tea. But what do you expect? Season 8.
All right, there you have it. Good point. Thank you. And Tony, back to you for your second down.
I mean, you took the two big ones for me. Those are my two big ones. Kramer and Elaine, obviously, just destroyed this episode. Literally wrote down stab-worthy. So another one, but I won't. I'll come up with another one here, kind of on the fly, actually, because as bad as this episode is, I mean, Kramer and Elaine took up a lot of it, so that's big downs, right? But if we're gonna go one-liners for ups, I got to go kind of one-liners for downs, or at least a scene. The whole Andrea, Doria, Gordon Lightfoot, Cat Stevens conversation, just a typical season 8 conversation about trying to be about nothing and think they're funny, falls flat to me. Just bad, bland. It's Gordon Lightfoot. Oh, yeah, Cat Stevens. Just so bad. Just terrible. I like Kramer having the book. That's a Kramer thing to have. It's not just Tales of the Sea. Let's leave it there. Where are we going after this? Just terrible. I'll give a second down there for the whole Cat Stevens, Gordon Lightfoot conversation.
All right, thanks, Tony. So that wraps up the 2 ups and the 2 downs. So, Chris, we're going back to you for the grade. What do you grade the Andrea Doria?
Yeah, to piggyback off that into my grade here, Jerry was just too much in this episode. I mean, I'm with people, and my home, Elaine, where I come to play with my toy. Like, just enough. Too much Jerry. I like Jerry's a straight man, but when he's forcing it too much, when Elaine's Elaine. You mentioned the George, the story. I mean, in all due respect, was the story that bad? I mean, what shrinkage that bad? This guy, Andrea Doria. I get it. It took a long time to sink the whole thing, but George's tales, they're of stupidity, not of sadness and despair, in my mind. So, be that as it may, the Andrea Doria is a D minus. It's, I don't think it's an F. Ahoy, Mr. Eldridge, maybe bumps it up. There's the cutesy stuff I like, the whistling. Not everyone was a full down, which didn't sink it to the F. Like, there were moments. When you have little moments, that lifts it up a tad. So, it's a fair grade here. D minus. For the Andrea Doria.
All right, yeah, thank you for that. So, Tony, interested to hear your grade here.
Wow, I wasn't sure where you were going after your first up, but you came back to earth there a little bit. I mean, you just knocked the hell out of Jerry, but yet that was your up, so I'm confused there, but that's all right. I mean, yeah, I agree. Jerry was. Here's the thing. I actually gave a little better grade, and you almost convinced me to go lower. I agree. This is not an F, but it's so close. I gave it a D. You're telling me D minus. I almost feel like I should give it a D minus because I mean it's this much better than an F, which I guess would be a D minus. I think I'm giving a little too much credit to He Flew Right Into Your Head and a couple of these one-liners. I don't know why, but I kind of like George's story. I mean, that's a down for you. I get it because it isn't that bad. I think they had a huge miss again, not putting in the getting caught by his mom. But I mean, call it a D, call it a D minus. It's not quite an F, but I'll stick to my initial grade I wrote down, even though I kind of almost agree I should switch it. But I'm giving it a D. I'm giving it a solid, just a really bad episode, but not quite an F, as Chris put it, and I agree with that. I'll give the Andrea Doria a D.
All right, well, there you have it, Thirsty fans, a D and D minus respectively for the Andrea Doria. And thank you guys for your grades and your ups and downs, and we'll see you on the next one.